While driving home after lunch with friends, Jack spotted a strange creature on the side of the road. Its head vaguely resembled that of a lion with a nice mane, but was simply too small to be one. With his curiosity piqued, Jack put his car on the side of the road and followed it, noticing that, aside from the full mane, its body seemed oddly hairless and missing a tail. Jack dialed 911, convinced he'd stumbled upon something bizarre, unsure of what to do next. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Jack had just been driving back home from a nice lunch with his old classmates. It was nice to see how everyone had settled down. After the small reunion of sorts, they unanimously decided they should do it again soon. Jack had only been reminiscing about the fun time he had with them when he saw something strange in the corner of his eye. "What the fuck is that?" Jack exclaimed. It had been a little while ahead, but he saw a strange gray-looking creature running against what looked to be a grassy hill. He noticed a mane that resembled that of a lion, but that was all the semblance it had. Jack's car came to a halt as he looked at the animal, amazed, as he had no clue what it possibly could be. The animal didn't seem to notice him, but it still changed directions. Instead of running circles on the hill, making strange sounds that Jack could now hear if he rolled his window down, it decided to walk in the opposite direction. He fiddled with his fingers, unsure if he should call the authorities, but chose against it. He couldn't just call in this. He had to find out what was going on first. He parked his car on the side of the road, as luck would have it. He quickly grabbed his bag, and even a bat, just in case. If the animal saw him, he had no clue if it would become hostile, and he was rather safe than sorry. He wasn't a hunter or a regular in the woods by any means, but he did have the common sense to look at the imprints in the sand that the animal had made and to follow it. The animal had practically already run out of sight, but that didn't deter Jack in the slightest, as he had to find out what that animal could possibly be. At the very least, he could try to take a photo of it to show to the local rangers and see if they could make heads or tails of it. It seemed like a solid plan, as he had a bat in one hand and his phone in the other as he followed the freshly made trail. He was walking faster by the second, wanting to find the animal before he was too deep in the woods. His gut feeling telling him to hurry up had been right as he suddenly heard an ear-piercing scream coming from further down the path. Jack burst into the clearing, his eyes widening as he saw a woman sprinting away from the strange animal. She looked terrified, glancing back at the creature chasing her. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as he realized he had to do something fast. Jack positioned himself between the woman and the animal, trying to appear more threatening and protective. The woman, catching her breath, introduced herself as Morgan and thanked Jack for his timely intervention. Morgan recounted her story. She had been jogging in the woods when she stumbled upon the strange animal. "I was just on my usual route," she explained, "and suddenly there it was, just standing there. I tried to back away slowly, but it started chasing me." Jack asked if she knew what kind of animal it was, but Morgan admitted she had never seen anything like it before. They both pondered what it could be. Jack expressed his determination to find out what the animal was, sparking Morgan's interest and concern. "I can't just let this go." Morgan nodded, her worry evident. "Be careful, Jack," she said softly. Wishing Morgan good luck, Jack prepared to continue his investigation into the mysterious creature. "Take care, Morgan," he said, giving her a quick nod. "I'll let you know if I find anything." Morgan watched him, concern still in her eyes. "Thanks, Jack." Morgan hesitated, then asked if she could join Jack, afraid the animal might not be alone in the woods. "Jack, can I come with you?" she asked, her voice tinged with fear. "I don't want to be alone out here." He understood her fear and knew he couldn't leave her by herself. He nodded, feeling a sense of responsibility. "Of course you can come," he said reassuringly. "We'll stick together and figure this out." Morgan introduced herself more formally as they started walking deeper into the forest together. "By the way, I'm Morgan Wright," she said, offering a small smile. Jack nodded, returning the gesture. "Nice to meet you, Morgan. I'm Jack Foster," he replied. The pair moved cautiously, with Jack leading and Morgan staying close behind, scanning the surroundings. Jack quickly picked up the animal's trail again, guiding Morgan as they followed the fresh tracks. After a few minutes of careful tracking, they spotted the animal standing near a berry bush. The creature was eating berries, seemingly unaware of their presence. Jack, silently gesturing to Morgan, positioned himself to take photos of the animal without startling it. Jack took a deep breath, steadying his hand, and prepared to capture the moment. He snapped several clear photos, hoping they would be useful for identifying the mysterious creature later. When he was satisfied, he lowered his phone and gave Morgan a thumbs up. She smiled, relieved they had something concrete. The animal suddenly noticed them and bolted deeper into the forest, leaving Jack and Morgan to chase after it. "There it goes!" Jack shouted, jumping to his feet. Morgan scrambled to keep up as Jack took off running. Jack, determined not to lose it again, urged Morgan to keep up as they hurried through the dense woods. Frustrated by the repeated escapes, Jack suggested they take a short break to regroup and plan their next move. "We need to figure out what we're doing," he said, sitting down on a nearby rock. "Yeah, we can't keep chasing it blindly," she agreed. Jack decided to call a local wildlife expert, hoping for some insight or advice on what they were dealing with. He dialed the number, explaining the situation as best as he could. "We've seen this strange animal and we don't know what it is," he told the expert. Morgan listened intently, hoping the expert might have some answers or at least point them in the right direction. The expert, intrigued by Jack's description, promised to meet them at a nearby ranger station to discuss further. "I'll be there in an hour," the expert said. Jack thanked him and hung up. "He's going to meet us," Jack told Morgan. She smiled, feeling a surge of hope. Jack and Morgan made their way to the ranger station, eager to share their findings and photos with the expert. They arrived at the station where the expert, Dr. Harris, greeted them and reviewed the photos with great interest. "These are quite fascinating," Dr. Harris said, adjusting his glasses. Jack and Morgan watched as he carefully examined each picture. "Have you ever seen anything like it?" Jack asked. Dr. Harris shook his head. "Not in the wild, no. This is definitely unusual," he said thoughtfully. Dr. Harris confirmed that the animal was indeed unusual and suggested it might be an exotic species. Dr. Harris nodded. "That's one theory. It could be an exotic pet or part of an illegal wildlife trade," he speculated, deep in thought. They discussed possible next steps, including setting up a trap to safely capture and study the animal. Morgan glanced at Jack, who nodded in agreement. They were ready to take action. Jack and Morgan agreed to assist with the plan, feeling a renewed sense of purpose and determination. "We're in," Jack said firmly. Morgan smiled, feeling a wave of excitement. "Let's do this," she added. Dr. Harris nodded approvingly. "Great." Dr. Harris provided them with trapping equipment and instructions, emphasizing the importance of handling the animal humanely. "We must be careful not to harm it," he stressed, showing them how to set up the traps correctly. Jack and Morgan returned to the forest, carefully setting up the traps near the animal's last known location. They both felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The duo set up a makeshift camp nearby, planning to keep watch overnight and monitor the traps. Early in the morning, they heard a loud rustling and hurried to check the traps, finding the animal caught, but unharmed. "We got it!" The animal looked bewildered but unhurt, trapped safely in the enclosure. "It's okay, we'll help you," Morgan whispered soothingly. Dr. Harris arrived promptly, carefully examining the captured creature and identifying it as a hairless bear. "This is remarkable," he said, adjusting his glasses. Jack and Morgan watched intently as he inspected the bear. "It's definitely unusual, but it's a bear," he confirmed. Morgan looked at Jack, surprised. "A bear? I never would have guessed," she said. Dr. Harris nodded, his face serious. They deduced that someone had cruelly shaved the bear, explaining its unusual appearance and behavior. "It's clear that this poor bear has been through a lot," Dr. Harris said, shaking his head. Jack felt a wave of anger. "Who would do such a thing?" he muttered. Morgan nodded, equally upset. "At least we found it and can help now," she said, trying to stay positive. Dr. Harris promised to take the bear to a wildlife rehabilitation center for proper care and treatment. "We'll make sure it gets the help it needs," he assured them. Jack and Morgan felt relieved knowing the bear would be in good hands. "Thank you, Dr. Harris," Morgan said gratefully. He smiled, packing up his equipment. "You both did a great job finding and capturing it," he said. Relieved and satisfied, Jack and Morgan felt a sense of accomplishment and closure, having solved the mystery. "We actually did it," Jack said, smiling at Morgan. She grinned back. "Yeah, we did," she replied. They watched as Dr. Harris prepared the bear for transport. "This has been quite an adventure, Sekudame," Jack remarked. Morgan nodded in agreement. "And it's not over yet," she added. Jack and Morgan accompanied Dr. Harris to the Wildlife Center, ensuring the bear received the necessary attention. The drive was filled with a mix of excitement and relief. "I'm glad we're seeing this through," Jack said, glancing at Morgan. She nodded, smiling. "Me too. It's been a wild journey," she replied. As they arrived, the staff quickly took over, carefully unloading the bear and bringing it inside. The center staff thanked them for their efforts, promising to keep them updated on the bear's recovery. "You've done an incredible job," one of the staff members said, shaking their hands. Jack and Morgan felt a warm sense of accomplishment. "We'll make sure the bear gets the best care," another staff member assured them. They both nodded, feeling reassured that the bear was in good hands. Jack and Morgan exchanged contact information, agreeing to stay in touch and continue their newfound friendship. "We make a pretty good team," Jack said, entering her number into his phone. Morgan smiled. "Yeah, we do. Let's keep in touch," she agreed. They both knew this wasn't the end of their adventures together. The bond they had formed through this experience was something they wanted to preserve. They left the center with a sense of fulfillment, knowing they had made a positive impact on the bear's life. "We actually made a difference," Morgan said, a smile on her face. Jack nodded, feeling proud. "Yeah, we did something good," he replied. They both felt a deep satisfaction, knowing their actions had helped an innocent animal. The experience had changed them both in meaningful ways. As they parted ways, they reflected on their adventure, grateful for the unexpected journey and the bond they had formed. "Take care, Jack," Morgan said, giving him a hug. "You too, Morgan," he replied, smiling. They both walked away with a renewed sense of purpose and friendship. The adventure had brought them together, and they knew this was just the beginning of many more to come.